Good afternoon. It is that time again. It is Thursday. I was on 3 minutes ago, but I got kicked off. So, I'm back now on live. It's another edition of Wisdom Keys with myself, Brother Francis. Today's date is Thursday, July the 15th, 2021. And I come on roughly at 1 p.m. and I stay on for about 30 minutes. So, since I'm 3 minutes late, I'll stay 3 minutes longer. Today's topic of discussion or talk is learn to be yourself and no one else. Now, when I came up with that idea and with that thought, I wanted to feel as though that I would have this opportunity to speak upon this. And a lot of this talk today, if we notice, when we are dealing with things like this, it really incorporates our ego. Our ego plays a big part because what often happens is your ego's running amok sometimes. And it happens. We are spiritual beings in a human form experiencing life from the human's vantage point. However, that little thing called the ego can get in the way. It can cause you to misinterpret things or cause you to be misinterpreted, misunderstood. Because that part of ourselves is the me, myself, and I trio. That part of ourselves is seeking attention all the time. That part of ourselves wants to feel super important all the time. So here is one way in which you could deal with that, to quiet that part of yourself down. That's the part that's going to be super out there, super analytical, and sometimes having this desire to control whatever's going on instead of just letting go and kind of going with the flow. So one of the things is very difficult to ignore the ego, that part of yourself. So I would suggest that you don't really ignore it, and I suggest that you don't break it or try to, as we say, kill it. You don't need to do that. You just need to let it be where it's at and then kind of disengage yourself from it by not paying it any mind. In other words, not giving it all of your attention. Because if you do, then it's out of order, right? It's running amok. It's like literally running all over the place, and you have no kind of real control over it. So you feel that you don't. As I said before, that part of ourselves wants us to feel mega important in the world. That's why I call it, it has its three-sided matrix. Me, myself, and I. I remember back in the 70s or 80s, there was a R&B tune, and the title was that, Me, Myself, and I. People dance to it all the time. And it's true because we want to be seen all the time. And one of the best remedies for that is self-love, is to find ways to love yourself, to shower yourself with love. Now, I'm not talking about the quote-unquote mushy love, romantic side. I'm just talking about unconditional love. When you could lay unconditional love upon your shoulders, like you're the knight, waiting to be knighted by the king or the queen. And you want to get a crown, but you don't need a crown. You need a shawl. And that shawl says unconditional love. So when we can pull unconditional love into our lives and begin to love ourselves, which also means pay attention to what we're feeling as well as what we're thinking, also what we could be sensing. Because again, sometimes and many times, and I've done it on numerous occasions, where I missed the mark, where I thought I was on point, but I wasn't on point. I was way off point. But just because you're way off point, you can't choke yourself about it, right? Can't smack yourself around. That's showing that you don't love yourself. So, you don't need to if you're down in the pit where you're feeling low self-esteem, it's up to you to pull yourself out of the pit. You can get all the help you want, but if you're not working at pulling yourself out of the pit of self-sabotage, low self-esteem, pettiness, unjust anger, pent-up emotions that aren't going anywhere, being angry with others for no reason, being angry with yourself because you don't know why. We have to gain a self-control again. It's all about not controlling what someone else is doing, but controlling how you respond to that person, or control how you're thinking about what the person is thinking or saying or feeling. You don't know until you say anything, right? So that part of yourself will be dangling out there all the time. It's like having a bad hair day. That's why I got a cap. Bad hair day. But, these experiences do happen. I was listening to someone or reading something earlier today, perhaps it was online, and it said, you're not your problems. The problems are experiences. You're not your problem. And many times, because we might see life or view life through the eye of the ego, we think it's a problem. It is not necessarily a problem. It is something, as I say, pent-up energy that has no place to go. And so sometimes people get mad, they exploded on people, or they cut people off. It's not necessary. What's necessary is just learning to look at yourself clearly in the mirror. Allow yourself to go within yourself to see what it is that's going on with yourself. For people who are very gentle, who are introverts, who are kind-hearted, they go through things too. And what they need most of all is quote-unquote space, even though you think they have enough space. But they need a specialized space where they could sit with the energy for a moment. They could shed tears if they need to shed tears. They could close up the wounds if that's what they need to do. But most of all, they just need to be in a state of humility with themselves, loving themselves more unconditionally, which means there's no strings attached. So when you say, well, I love this person, there should be no strings attached to it. Because we are seeking for some level of validation. And many times we all have done that, reached out for validation, reached out for acceptance, reached out for approval. But no one can approve what you're doing other than yourself. No one can validate what you're doing other than yourself. So we have to honor those parts of ourselves, the high points and the low points, and see those experiences not just as lessons, but an experience, something to remember. That's essential. Now, sometimes people, again, might misread your true intention or what you felt was your true intention. Sometimes you might misread it yourself. It's okay to be angry, but don't wallow in the anger, because that anger does nothing more than give you a headache, give you a heartache, give you a neck ache, give you a stomach ache, give you a backache, give you cramps. and cause you to do things, to stop doing certain things that you normally wouldn't stop, as simple as drinking water. And so since many of us are here sharing the planet with each other, it is good to, yes, acknowledge each other, but it's also good to acknowledge yourself. We spend a lot of our years unraveling, right? Taking or peeling away layer by layer by layer, not chunk by chunk, layer by layer, of all of these life's experiences that we have that just seem to get in the way, don't seem to go anywhere at times. Because we are spending a great deal of time trying to control how we're going to respond, because we're trying to outthink somebody or outthink a situation. And what we actually really need to do is we just need to chill out. We need to find those moments for ourselves where we can feel honored, feel loved, but again, we're the ones that have to seed it into ourselves, as well as seed it into others, but seed it into yourself. For in the soil of your own consciousness, the depths of your own mind, there's plenty of room. In the lake of the heart, there's plenty of room for you to swim and feel and find out, am I cold-hearted? Am I warm-hearted? Am I kind? Am I angry? Am I moody? Am I depressed? And sometimes you might realize none of that is you. You might pick that up based on some things you saw on TV or in a movie, like, you watch certain movies so much that you see the emotions of characters. I remember one time paying attention to soap operas when I was younger. And it was amazing how we didn't realize that the person playing the particular character on the soap opera was convincing you that he or she was that character, had that personality trait, had that mannerism, acted that way. And often you begin to believe that, you start trying to identify what the scene is that you see in the tube with things going out outside yourself. No, but the actor and actress is good at playing that part so well that they have convinced you that they are in the world with you and you are interacting with them. So there are ways to learn how to be yourself and no one else. First of all, there's no competition between you and other people. None whatsoever, unless you're playing competitive sports. Then there's competition. Or you're out there playing a friendly round of golf or two. Or you have a jogging partner or whatever. But the bottom line is, there's no need to feel that you have to compete with the next person. So you don't have to compare yourself with the next person. You just have to be yourself. You don't have to measure yourself against someone else. You just have to be yourself. And that's important. Because when you are being yourself, and you know what that feels like to be yourself, listen to yourself, hear yourself speak, observe your actions and reactions. And when you have decided, I'm not going to do that again, when you feel it in the heart that you're not going to do it again, then you simply don't. Likewise, you don't let other people pull you out of yourself. We hear all the time, get out of the comfort zone. That's true, but sometimes you need to have a little bit of the comfort zone with you. have some of that comfort zone with you. You do not need to walk around empty-hearted. And when it comes to being yourself and no one else, that also means you cannot fix another person. Nope. That person has to fix themselves. But you need patience to allow that person to fix themselves. Because within patience comes unconditional love. So you have to let that person. Now, if you think, I can't be around that person, then you lack patience. Because once you were there, you somehow in your memory shut it off. No, we have to realize we were many of these people, many of the experiences. We went through many of the problems, but sometimes didn't complete them. It's what happens in the human life. So, how can you best create a better opportunity for yourself? The title says it all. Be yourself and no one else. In other words, you might see a person around you as a living example of how you could do something or be something, but you still have to be yourself while doing that which you're striving or trying to do. You still have to walk your own path. You still have to do that. Now, when it comes to climbing mountains or coming down the other side, you might need some assistance doing that until you get comfortable doing it. It's important for all of us not to point fingers at everybody else. There's so much energy that's going on the planet, right? So many gateways that are happening. That happen every year and every couple of hundreds of years, having all of its cycles. And these different energy cycles are like portals, gateways, giving ourselves an opportunity to peer into there and see what we need to see and discover ourselves in that moment. Yeah, we are somebody before we went into the pool. And we're going to be somebody when we get out of the pool, but you're going to get wet by the pool. Whatever in that pool, whatever that pool is made up of, you're going to get wet. You're going to get touched by some element that's in the pool. And maybe you were seeking to get touched by it, or maybe you weren't. However, you will be touched by it. That's to say, life always touches us somewhere. Here we are, coming into this world, wanting to have the experience, and forget all that stuff of who we were, our divine nature, and then rediscover, uncover, and do all of that to get back on track. Then there's those who are born and they know that the minute they arrive, the minute they leave their mother's womb, they already came intact with everything, and they remember right off the bat. That phrase is the ball hitting the baseball bat, and now the ball takes off because it made contact with the bat. The bat made contact with the ball. You made contact with life. So you have an opportunity to change things. Some things, like people running hurdles. Sometimes you run the hurdles and go over each hurdle clearly. Sometimes you graze it and it rocks as you go over it. Sometimes you hit it with your lead foot because you just came up short and didn't have the stride intact. And other times you try to run it through, right? And fall and trip. We have so many different ways to free ourselves of trying to be like somebody else. Many of us have heard this before growing up. Cliches. It must be greener on the other side of the tracks. Nah, not necessarily. Oh, I wish I could have the fancy car, the big house, da 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 da. Yeah, a lot of people have it, but they're still not happy. People got big houses, big cars, lots of cars, big houses, but they're still not happy. So it's not the property. It's the property of things that they hold in their mind, that they hold on to, that they possess. Those are the things. The way we're thinking and speaking and being, not just outwardly, but internally. That's important. So what do we have to do in order to learn to be ourselves? Love yourself unconditionally. Do not judge yourself. You can do self-evaluations, but you don't have to judge yourself. Don't judge other people. Don't be competitive with other people because it's not necessary. There's no prize in it for you to compete with someone else. They have what they have and you have what you have. But there's some, as I say, some downsides of having too much, and there's some pleasantries for having almost barely nothing. So we want to look within. So when it's about learn to be yourself, learn your true self. What is the truth of you? We all share universal truths of who we truly are. And we need to kind of get back in touch with that part of ourselves. We have a little sip of water. We got to get to know that part of ourselves. We have to radiate that loving aspect that's naturally on the inside of us. We have to explore who we are in the heart. And then we get in touch with the heart and radiate that out into the world. But also, save some for yourself. Because in order to be yourself, self is the higher self. We have the higher self, which is a different aspect of what we call the soul. It's an infinite part that's connected to a far infinite, more greater thing than ourselves. We don't have to have it all figured out. We don't have to be perfect. We just have to be present. And we don't have to take on the energies of everything. Because you're more than enough. You got enough of your own energy that you don't have to take on someone else's energy. In other words, you don't have to be that person. Love is the answer, as they say, but it's unconditional love. Unconditional love passes no judgment. Unconditional love loves with the expression, the gift, the ability to embrace another person, another being, just like they are, without trying to judge them. Because as you judge them, you can only be judging yourself. And not everything has to be a lesson. It's just a learning experience you need to remember. That's all. So with these last few minutes left, let us take a moment. It's not a guided meditation, but it's more of a quiet meditation. And go within yourself. Go within the heart, the center of you, internally. And as you do that, I want you to breathe fully with awareness. Breathe with your entire body. Feel the sense of true freedom within yourself. Feel the presence of joy, happiness, peace, and harmony, gratitude. Feel yourself as being prosperous and abundant. Because when you can relax the mind of all and release the mind of all worries and stress and anxieties, then you find out things have been trying to come to you, knocking at your door. Prosperity and abundance, good health, better health, eating better, all those things were coming to you. They would just stop because you were putting out a low frequency. So let's internalize the new frequency of being well and happy and whole. Know that these are infinite parts, avenues, expressions of ourselves. Allow yourself, give yourself permission to be you. Being you means that as much as you love yourself and will not do any harm to yourself, you also will not do any harm to other people intentionally. That's not your intention. You're just being yourself. Relax in the goodness of who you are. Grow in the goodness of who you are. Prosper in the goodness abundantly of who you are. And the energies will work itself out because your heaven, your haven is on the inside of you. Your heaven and your haven is on the inside of you. So I feel like saying a affirmation and a decree based on the affirmation. So as you go within yourself, say to yourself a truth. I'm going to start with a general truth. I affirm that I am love, unconditional love. So hear those words and breathe them in to your countenance. I'll say it a different way. I affirm that I am love, unconditional love, peace, harmony, and happiness here and now. This is my truth. Decree it. I see and decree that I am love. I am unconditional love. And as I give forth this unconditional love, birth it into the world, it comes back to me 1,000 times over with positiveness, with a wealth of prosperity and abundance, of better health, a sounder mind, a fun-loving spirit. Take that into the internal side of you. Feel the beauty of being yourself. Because being yourself is stating your truth. Being yourself is being happy for your truth. And embracing someone else's goodness as their truth without judgment. Relax into this now. Feel the joy and feel the excitement of what you just created with your words. See, when you speak an affirmation, you're picking a statement, a clause, that is the truth of who you are. And when you decree it, you're saying without any doubt in your mind, without reservation, which means not holding on to the space, you're accepting and embracing and allowing yourself to become that truth even more so than when you first stated it as an affirmation. Allow yourself to be unconditionally loved by yourself first. Be unconditional love for yourself first. I affirm that I am unconditional love for myself or to myself and through myself first. And I see and decree that I am unconditional love now. And it is my truth, the infinite truth of who I choose to be, who I am. Just smile with that. Rock and feel the flavor of that. And while you're doing that, tomorrow at 12 p.m. is Swanda, with one of her great messages. I believe she'll be on tomorrow at 12 p.m., usually at 9 a.m. Mountain Standard Time on Mondays. Whispering Truths by Audrey Wilson from the UK. Tuesdays at 12 noon p.m. out here Mountain Standard Time is Donna of Dominion Tarot. So be sure to join us on these 4 days out of the week where you can get this good wisdom, you can get the blessings of these teachings that we're sharing with you, and we're not perfect. We're just telling you that we love to share the light with you. We love to see you receive just as much as we receive. So with that being said, I'm going to now sign out. I'm Brother Francis. Thank you for watching Wisdom Keys with myself, Brother Francis, here every Thursday for Resonant Essentials, the group, at 1 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And I'll be back with something else to talk about next week. Until then, my grace is your grace. Remember that divine grace is a blessing as we're alive and well in the age of remembrance. Thank you so much.